made a video a while ago speaking about Need for Speed 2022 and how the car list should look like. Since we now have an official one that is kinda mediocre, it is time to present you the ultimate list. Or my ultimate list, I should say. To start off, I think it is good to ask ourselves where they went wrong with this list and address a couple of things. So first of all, I will not mention Toyota or Lexus in this list at all, since they're just never gonna be in the game in the first place. And second of all, this is purely my list and my opinion only. I know that a lot of you guys have different opinions when it comes to which cars should be in the game, which cars should not be in the game, but let's just make sure that this video is as least biased as possible, and that is why I brought on a list made by one of you guys. The list that I'm using as an example for this video is made by Miles Asipa, shout out to you, and is the list that I'm going to go by because I actually thought it was good. To start off, I just wanted to say that the theme of this game is not matching for some exotic and hypercars, because the list that I've chosen for this game, although much like the previous game's car list, is quite horrible to be honest, because it's a lot of supercars. There is a lot of cars that are irrelevant to me, at least. Now, to say that this or that car should be deleted from the game is different from person to person, but I think I speak for most people when I say there's too many of these hyper and supercars, and people would rather want more tuners and muscle cars instead. Should they get rid of the FXXK Evo, the Aston Martin Vulcan, the Koenigsegg Reagera, and so on is different depending on taste. Licensing is also an issue, since they're not always the easiest to get. Need for Speed as a brand has different kinds of relationships with different car companies, don't forget that. But there are a couple of cars that do not fit this game at all. These are, by the way, only going to be examples that I go by. And I think it's important to switch depending on the type of game that you're actually making. For an example, there's 9 911 Porsches in the game. Why? Why are there 9 911 Porsches in the game? 2 or 3 is enough. Even that is almost pushing it. Why are there 9 911 Porsches? I mean, I get it. There is different kind of Porsches. In the same way that there are different kinds of Porsches, there are also different kinds of Silvias. There are different kinds of Evos, and every single one of those isn't in the game, and they would be much better cars to have in the game instead of the 911s. Like, I get the GT2s, the GT3s, but why are the rest in the game? They aren't really that special. I like my Porsches, but there's just too many of them. And yes, it is also because of the exclusive licensing that Porsche had with Need for Speed, which means that more Porsches would be added. But that deal ended a couple of years ago, so I don't really get why they are mashing in Porsches to the game. I'm guessing they have a good relationship. And also, please don't make the RSR or another Porsche super OP. Please. And also with the convertibles, they're annoying. They're just in there to kind of piss you off, I feel like. So the car list has a lot of flaws. Even though it has a lot of good cars, they're becoming kind of old, in my opinion, and they need to change it. This is what I felt like before, but now that we have an official list, there's legit nothing we can do, so we can only make the best out of it. Instead of me speaking about how they should have made the car list, let's speak about how they can add new cars to the current car list. As an example, the Evo 9, the Evo 10 is in the game, the Evo 5, 6 and 7 or 8 is not in the game. Add one of those, that would be awesome. The Mitsubishi 3000 GT is another car that I actually miss, and it hasn't been in the game since, like, I think Underground 2 is the only game that had that car. Either way, the Camaro SS is in the game, the ZL1 Camaro is not in the game. Why don't you add that car? We have a lot of newer cars in the game, but the ZL1 Camaro isn't even in the game, which is a bit odd and a bit strange if you ask me. This game will have cars like Ferrari F40 and Ferrari Testarossa, but not Ferrari F50 and 360 Modena, which are great cars. The reason I'm mentioning adding different Ferraris or supercars in general is that they're always going to be part of Need for Speed because of their history, and also some supercars actually have decent customization and would be fitting for this type of game, like an R8, but for some reason Audi doesn't exist in this game at all, which is probably has to do with them not coming to a licensing deal at all this time. Also, we have Nissan R32, R34 and even R35 or GTR, whatever you want to call it, but they don't have Nissan GTR R33 or a 300ZX, which are both just amazing cars, and I don't really know why they're not in the game, where the sole purpose is customizing and making the cars look insane. If they're going to add supercars or hypercars, they better have good customization, especially if that is a huge part of the game. And the cars that I'm mentioning in this video are not an exact what I want, but are more so an example of what they could change to diversify and actually make the list a bit more balanced, because there are a lot of cars that could be added into a Need for Speed game that are not added in a Need for Speed game. Perhaps there are even cars that have never been in a Need for Speed game before that should be added in the Need for Speed game, such as Hyundai i30N and i20N, or for you Americans that are watching, the Veloster, which are good looking cars in my opinion, but then again, these are only examples. I feel like this game needs a lot more shitboxes like Volkswagen Corrado from '93 or a Lada. Like, how fun would that be to drive a Lada in Need for Speed and just put a big boy engine in there and drive like 300 kilometers per hour? That just sounds so fun in my ears. Then again, if you actually take a look at what they actually added a couple of good cars. The Eclipse GCX, a new Silvia and an RX-8, which are good cars and actually proves that they are listening to us and actually acknowledging what should be in the game and what should not be in the game. So I don't think they lack knowledge in the sense that they don't know what to put in the game, but they actually do know. So I'm hoping that this video gives them even better insight to what kind of cars this game should have, because that is as important as a lot of other things in the game. So I really hope that somebody from Criterion sees this and actually acknowledges like an R33 or a ZL1 Camaro. Like, there are plenty of cars that they could add later on during development if they feel like it, which I'm hoping that they do, because it seems, and this is only speculations again, that they have put more effort in the gameplay and the map and the feeling of the game, which is, to be honest, a bit more important than the car list. The car list is fine and could be overlooked if the game is good enough, but that is only if the game is good enough. So I really hope that they have put more effort into actually developing the core game, because if that is not the case, then they're done. And if you guys feel like I missed something in this video or have suggestions for other cars than those I mentioned and those on the list, put it in the comments, because there are probably important bits that I've left out of this video, which is one of the reasons as why I made this video to begin with, to know more about what you guys think. I felt like the car list needed a better explanation than the one I gave for the last video, and that's why I made this video today. If you want to watch the last video where I talked about Need for Speed 2022 or Unbound and what I thought about it, the link will be in the top right corner. And yeah, that is it for me today. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.